Let's get you some breaking news from the world of golf, where the civil war that had been raging in the world of golf is, at least on the face of it, now officially over. In a sensational move that has caught everyone by surprise, the PGA Tour and the LIV Golf have now buried the hatchet. They've ended all litigation against each other. The PGA Tour, the European Tour and LIV Golf have now signed an agreement that finds common ground between the competing parties. The new for-profit entity will be set up, which will be mutually beneficial for everyone. And Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, or the PIF, will fund this new entity, and all sides have committed to working together to promote team golf. The players who moved over to LIV can in fact reapply for membership to the PGA Tour and the European Tour at the end of the 2023 season, with a fair criteria to be established going forward. Now, all pending cases, including the antitrust lawsuit that had been filed by both LIV and the PGA Tour against each other, have now been withdrawn. LIV Golf, remember, came into existence in the month of June last year, and it shook up the golfing ecosystem. Some of the biggest names in golf moved over to Saudi Arabia-funded league and triggered off a confrontation that has never been witnessed before in the world of golf. The PGA Tour banned all players who joined LIV indefinitely, and the European Tour also announced sanctions following a dispute resolution hearing in the month of April. And some of LIV Golf's biggest recruits included the likes of six-time major winner Phil Mickelson, the reigning British Open champion Cameron Smith, the former world #1 Dustin Johnson, and Brooks Koepka, who won his fifth major, the PGA Championships, last month. All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of how this tour has actually happened, we're being joined in by our sports editor Digvijay Singh Dio, who's joining us with the latest. Digvijay, this is something that had been talked about in the world of golf for so long, in the last several months. So what actually has brought about a common meeting ground for the PGA Tour and also for LIV Golf?
Well, it's an announcement, Saleh, that has caught everyone by surprise. I've even reached out to players on LIV, and they're also surprised. It officially ends this civil war in golf. That's the plus point. I think the larger picture here is that the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia now controls golf. I think this was always about the control for golf. The PGA Tour had always said that we do not have the money to sort of compete with a monarchy, but I think they've all decided that, they can't fight this battle. It's a losing battle. But if you just look at the fine print of this big press release which dropped in our inbox about half an hour back, or less than that, there is no mention of Greg Norman anywhere in this. Greg Norman was the CEO of LIV Golf. He was the public face of LIV Golf. He was the one pulling all the punches, taking on the PGA Tour, the European Tour. In fact, I had gone and met him in Bangkok last year, and he had said that no tour owns the game of golf, and all they want is to give a new product. Rory McIlroy said this last year, and Tiger Woods told me in December that both sides should have come together, they should have spoken. But for truce to happen, Greg Norman needs to go. This is what was told by these two superstars, and what I gather at the moment is that Greg Norman's not part of this at all.
All right, very interesting there, Digvijay. But a lot of people who watch golf and who follow golf very closely would be looking at how this impacts the game and how it impacts the tour. So what happens to the game of golf? Is it now, getting all players back onto the same platform? How does that affect?
I think what we had seen was a complete breakdown. The PGA Tour players would play only on the European Tour. The LIV guys would only play the majors. I think that will now end. A new entity, as you read, is coming up, and that's going to be a commercial entity. There's also the fine print that at the end of the 2023 season, all those players who've joined LIV, they can reapply to join the PGA Tour or the European Tour. In the larger scheme of things, I think the Ryder Cup is an important story going forward, because the Ryder Cup was jointly owned by the European Tour and the PGA of America. Now, the European Tour had told all the LIV players, you're out. That's the reason Sergio Garcia, who was the biggest point scorer in Ryder Cup history, he left. But I think those LIV players can now play Ryder Cup. It's going to change. All these players are going to come back together. I think it's changed. It's over. Everyone's coming back. And how they sort out the mess legally is a different matter altogether.
Absolutely, indeed. But this, of course, is the big update that the civil war in the world of golf is over. Thank you very much indeed, Digvijay Singh Dio, for joining us and getting us the latest on this story. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.